Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishna Bava Kamma, Parak Vav, Chapter 6, Mishnah Gimel, Mishnah 3. Okay. Hamagdish b'seich sadeh shal chaverei shaloi b'rshus. If you make a pile of grain, you stack grain in someone else's field without permission. That's what it means. Hamagdish, one who makes a pile, b'seich sadeh shal chaverei, inside the field of his friend, shaloi b'rshus, without permission. And the animal belonging to the owner of the field went and ate them. Putter, the owner of the field, and who is the owner of the animal, is not obligated to pay because he had no right to put his stuff there. So therefore, he didn't have to watch his animal from just acting normally within it in the field. All of a sudden, there's food there. Somebody put it there without permission. I never took a responsibility for it, and therefore I'm not going to be obligated. Excuse me. And if it comes out that the animal that belonged to the landowner was damaged by the grain that you stacked, like it slipped on it and it got injured, then the owner of the stack is going to be obligated to pay. Now, let's say he went ahead and had permission to stack the grain in his neighbor's field. He had permission to do so. And then the animal belonging to the owner of the field ate the grain that you put there. Then the owner of the field, who is the owner of the animal, is going to have to pay for the grain that was eaten. Because of the fact that by allowing the grain to be stored in the field, we assume that he has taken upon himself to protect the grain from any damage. And therefore, so even though he never said he's accepting to guard the grain, but we assume that since he gave you permission to put it there, that he's taking responsibility for it. Now, this actually, we had something like this already before. This kind of case of where somebody gives you permission to put your things in their field, and then the animal of that owner of the field damages what you put in there. So this Mishnah is saying, well, you let it in. That means you took responsibility. You accepted to guard it from any kind of damage. And therefore, if your animal, meaning the owner of the field's animal, damages it, then he's going to be obligated to pay. But really, this is a machlekes tanoim. And according to Rebbe in the previous Mishnah, Rebbe said that even if he gives you permission to put your stuff in his field, but didn't explicitly say that he's accepting responsibility for it, you can't assume that it's what he's doing. According to what this Mishnah seems to be saying, and according to what one opinion in a previous Mishnah said, you let it in, we assume you're taking responsibility. And Rebbe said, you cannot make that assumption. He's letting it in, but who says he's taking responsibility? Until he actually says so, the halacha is that he's not responsible. So now, this Mishnah that doesn't say it's Rebbe, it doesn't say it's the other opinion, it just says it plain. So is there a way to make this Mishnah work according to Rebbe? Because it sounds like in the Mishnah that all he did is give him permission, and because he gave him permission, now he's responsible for it. But that doesn't seem to work with Rebbe. So therefore, the Gemara says, our Mishnah is referring to the following case. Namely, I'm reading here from the notes, where the farmers of the area would stock their grain in one person's fields each year, and they would appoint him to guard it. So even if the owner of that field only said, bring your grain into my field without adding and I will guard it, Rebbe would agree that he presumably agrees to guard it. Meaning that basically, generally, that's what he does. Generally, what he does here is he has people bring their stuff here, and they appoint him to guard it, and he does guard it. So now, being that's what he typically does, what he says to you, you can bring your stuff in here, even though he didn't say I'm going to guard it. There, even Rebbe says we can assume that he's taking responsibility for it, because that's typically what he does when other people bring their stuff into his field. And therefore, here too, even though he didn't say it specifically, that's what he's doing. He just said, bring it. There you can assume, even according to Rebbe, that he's taking responsibility to guard it, so that if his animal does eat from it, he's going to be liable to pay the person back who had permission to put his stuff in the field. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.